man, I know we said we had some big news to talk about.
We got some
So
big
let's
news.
drop it. Let's drop it on the audience, man. What we got going on?
So, as I mentioned, Sticks and I have been discussing the podcast really from week 9 of season 1 until maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago of how we can make this podcast better. What are the things that we can do to get more listeners, get more subscribers, to make it more interesting for the people that subscribe to our channel, listen to the podcast. And we decided to change the name, to
We decided to
rebrand,
rebrand, man.
and over the next couple of weeks we'll start to let the logo, reveal the logo. Probably won't change any color schemes, change the word paneling and stuff like that, have our own font and stuff, or have a special font for our podcast. But we're going to go through that journey of making that change. And so we're moving from, and we love the name, honestly.
Love
We
it, man.
we love part, and we will always love it. Part in my wisdom. We're moving from part in my wisdom to
Too
too complex.
complex. Yes,
Yeah, too
sir, man.
complex. Too
And
complex.
we're gonna
So
bring y'all along this journey as well, man. As long as y'all are still following the socials, still following the YouTube, you know what I'm saying, TikTok, Instagram, all of that. We're gonna be posting the we're gonna be revealing all that stuff as we go throughout the next couple of weeks, and then we're probably gonna make the full transition over the next couple of weeks, but maybe a month or so to make sure we got everything together. But we're gonna bring y'all along with the journey with us as well, man. But now we are two TWO, too
TWO.
complex.
Yeah, yeah.
Too complex. And what is the meaning behind that, D-Lo? What's the meaning behind that? Too complex.
Yeah, so the meaning behind it, honestly, is one is two of us. So
Mm-hmm.
we're two separate individuals. We share a lot of experiences that we've had in our life. Sticks and I have known each other for almost 25 years. Damn, we
That's
old,
crazy.
bro.
It's crazy to say, bro. It's
We've
crazy to
known each
say,
other
bro.
for almost 25 years.
Two and a
Uh,
half decades, bro.
yeah, so we have a lot of experiences together, but we are different in a lot of ways as well. So we're complex individuals, as everybody is in this world. Everybody's complex, right? And the topics that we talk about, while we are wise, we can share wisdom on those various topics that we talk about, sports and entertainment, or the various aspects of life, looking at it through a sports and entertainment lens. The topics we talk about are very complex in themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
we did share wisdom on it, but as Sticks and I were talking out these segments and these topics that we were sharing, it's like, man,
Yep.
this is really more complex than we had imagined.
Yeah.
So we were like, well, we floated the idea. We had been floating the idea for a while. It was like, let's just change the name to Too Complex.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where we are now. How you feel
Yeah.
about that, Sticks?
Nah, I feel the same way you do, bro, and that's why because it's funny because D'Lo threw out the idea, like he said, probably since episode 9. He was like, "Yo, like we should probably, I think we should do this." You know what I'm saying? And I was kind of like, "Nah, I fuck with part of my wisdom. I don't really want to rebrand. I don't want to go through that whole thing again. It's a lot of work, blah blah blah." But then I had a conniption. I was on the way home from work after a long day at work. Actually, I was probably there for like an extra hour or so, and I was just thinking about the podcast as I was driving home. I was sitting in complete silence, and it low key hit me like we should do that shit. We should really do it. And I was like, while we on a break, you know what I'm saying, we taking a little bit of a break from the podcast to make sure we take time for ourselves and our family. I was like, let's have this conversation now, and it literally hit me. I was like, bro, like let's do it
Yeah.
because as wise as we are, in our days, like I said, we done known each other for 2.5 decades, and we have those experiences together in our own separate experiences that we can pull wisdom from on the topics that we're talking about. But it makes more sense for us to talk about the complexities of these topics in opposed to trying to find the wisdom that we can gather from these topics. So I dead ass think it's a good idea. That's why I called you. It was almost midnight on the East Coast. I was like, "Hey, D'Lo, man, you're not gonna believe what the fuck I just thought about."
Yeah.
and
And
D'Lo
I'm
and
like,
D'Lo was like, "Oh," he
yeah.
was like, "Oh,
in,
word?" Like,
in my mind though, I'm like, man, is he serious? Like,
I
I
was
brought this up
there,
so
man.
long ago, and he is just clicking on him. So I mean, but I'm glad he felt that way because it for me the aspect at season 9 was, yeah, we are wise in the topics that we talk about, but the name I felt gave the wrong impression of what we are as a podcast. Like somebody
Hmm.
sees wisdom in a podcast, they expect you to be talking about these high level conversations about
Hmm.
astrology and stuff like that, or some philosophical stuff, and
I
that's
know
just
nothing
not
about
us. We
it.
can
Yeah,
get
facts.
we could probably get there honestly if we wanted to,
Yeah, yeah.
with a lot of reading, but that would require too much work for us to do.
Hmm.
Whereas, like you mentioned, Sticks, us talking about the complexities of a topic, because everything we talked about, literally everything we talked about, from Mantateo to Ed Reed, all of those topics, and in between, mental health and all that stuff, they were very complex topics to talk about.
Hmm.
Some slightly controversial, or maybe a lot of controversial. We just didn't get all the way into the controversy of the
Hmm.
topic, but they were complex, and I felt like we felt like going this route will help us take that next step in being the podcast that we want to be. But
I agree.
I am excited about it, man. I feel good
I
about the
am too.
change. I think it's clever. The wordplay is clever. It gives you a kind of a double entendre now.
Hmm.
And like I mentioned, we loved Part of My Wisdom. We still love it. We'll probably keep it to some degree. We'll use it something else, maybe. I don't know. But in the grand scheme of things, the podcast just the initial how we envisioned the podcast just morphed into something that Sticks and I didn't envision, and it really didn't fit who we were as a podcast anymore. So um,
I agree. I
this is
agree,
where we
man.
are.
This is where we are, man. I also feel like too, man. It gives us an opportunity to be a little bit more competitive in the marketplace of YouTube, because just in buzzwords alone, too complex, especially with the number two or the spelling of two, TWO, is gonna bring it's gonna bring a lot more eyes on us to me.
Hmm.
Just with the algorithm itself. But it helps us be a little bit more on the market because we're competing with those complex, we're competing with complex. We're competing with a bunch of different outlets as far as sports and entertainment that you guys might be searching as well to get this information from. So we want to be right there with them. So whenever you search for complex, which is a $5.6 million 5.6 million subscriber channel, whenever you search for them, we want you to see us too. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And see what kind of information that we have as well to kind of give on some of the same topics that they talk about as well. So it'll bring a little bit more eyes on us, in an algorithm standpoint, but also it'll give y'all an opportunity to see a different viewpoint, our viewpoint that might be different from everybody else's viewpoint too. So I'm excited about it, man. I think it's gonna be super dope, man. I mean, we already got artwork in play that we can't wait to show y'all. I mean, it's gonna be dope, man. It's gonna be
Yeah.
dope. But
Yeah, and
so we,
and it's not to ride the coattails of
exactly, yeah, yeah.
complex, but it's, you have to be strategic in how you do things, especially in our situation, and we can get into that a little bit later when it
Hmm.
a little bit later on. But in our situation, as you mentioned, Sticks, we are not these we're just the average Joe, essentially,
Hmm.
right? We
Yep.
we have accomplished a lot in our lives, but we haven't accomplished what some of these mainstream podcasters have accomplished and they bring to the table initially. That's not us. We have to find our niche and find our way in this podcast game. So these first couple of episodes, coming back into it, we're going to spend a little bit of time sharing with you the journey of how we know where we are, why we came to the conclusion, and share the artwork as Sticks mentioned, or the
Hmm.
logos and all that, when the time presents themselves. But we want to be transparent with you in this journey, and so luckily for us, we're still early in the process of podcasting. We put out 15 episodes last season. I don't think we'll do seasons anymore. We're still kind of discussing that, but it's just us trying to find out what it is for us to be the podcast that we want to be. And there's a lot of hurdles that we have to overcome, and we'll overcome those hurdles. And each time we jump that hurdle, we'll hit the ground running, being faster and better than we were when we got to that the last hurdle. So
100%, bro.
Yeah, we both are excited about it, and
It's gonna be lit, boy. It's gonna be
when
lit.
when everything comes together, it'll come together. We have a lot of people in our corner. We
Mhm,
appreciate those individuals that are helping us with this journey, that are kind of guiding us as well. So that
mhm,
doesn't go unnoticed. We
at all.
really do appreciate it. Everybody that hopped on board early when we were, I mean, we still are part my wisdom right now. We haven't officially
Mhm.
changed anything, but everybody that's hopped on board, we appreciate you guys. Hope you can pull somebody else on board with you and take this ride with us.